What's happening? A good Friday afternoon to all of you. Thanks for joining me. As always, it is very much appreciated. Before we get started, what I saw with these two eyes out at training camp today, don't forget to give us that thumbs up at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, thumbs up, all those things. Help us out. We drive traffic that way. Like, comment, and subscribe. Spotify, Apple Pods, our friends at those two places. You can rate and review. Couple of news items. A little bit of housekeeping to take care of before we get to training camp news and notes. Deshaun Fenwick, running back, was released today by the Patriots. Now, I am not surprised that Fenwick has been released because he hasn't been able to get out there on the field and do much of anything. I did think he could have been a sleeper during this camp if he could get out onto the field and prove that he was capable of making a roster spot, but he really hasn't been out there, so Fenwick released. Terrell Jennings, meanwhile, he is on the team, and he's made a couple of plays at running back. He's mostly running with the 2s and the 3s, but he has made a couple of plays here and there, so I'll keep an eye out for Terrell Jennings. Fenwick gone as of now. Some offensive line changes as well. Deep on the offensive line at tackle. Tyrone Wheatley Jr. has been released by the Patriots. Kellen Dyche has been signed by the Patriots. A 6'7"-ish, very athletic, raw offensive tackle. He's played at a couple of places, practice squads and stuff like that. So he has been brought on by Elliott Wolf and company for some tackle depth. Safety A.J. Thomas has signed with the Patriots. I would imagine this is just depth for the safety room as we get ready for the preseason. Jabril Peppers, of course, we don't know if he's going to play in the preseason. If he does, how often will he play? Marte Mapu has been not healthy once again. So now you start to look around, you try to figure out the depth at safety. You need a body or two. So A.J. Thomas has signed, and he is now part of the roster as we get ready for next week's preseason kickoff on Thursday. All right, let's get to the training camp notes. Padded practice number 3 of the week. And this is where I'll start. First team offense. Round of applause for the first team offense. I don't know if this is going to shock some of you. I don't know if it's going to shock all of you, but the first team offense today, get ready for it, looked good. I've heard some people talking about this offense. They have concerns about this offense. Some of the practices have gone on way too long. Does Alex Van Pelt know what he's doing? We'll figure all of this out during the season if Van Pelt is truly going to be the guy and if they have the right offensive coordinator. But what I can tell you right now is that the offense has absolutely improved throughout the week. And today, that first team offense had a really good practice. So shout out to them. This looked like a football team. This looked like an actual offense that could move the ball down the field a little bit. They were making plays. They had some possible chunk plays out there. I say possible because, of course, with the padded practices, you catch the football, you run a couple yards, and that's it. Nobody's going to tackle you, stuff like that. So it did look like they had some positive plays, some chunk plays out there on the field, and they were moving the ball. They were moving the ball, I don't want to say easily, but it did feel, relatively speaking, after what we've seen the past couple of years, it looked like they were moving the football easily downfield, making plays, moving it, and quarterback play. Some people thought I was crazy when I told all of you that the quarterback room has been upgraded. And some try to challenge and say, really, Jacoby Brissett's an upgrade? Yes. The way Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi played last year, Brissett is 100% unequivocally an upgrade at quarterback. This quarterback room is so much better than it was a year ago. And watching these padded practices and the way Jacoby Brissett has played, especially, today and on Monday, you take Monday's practice, you take today's practice, and you actually walk away feeling pretty good about Brissett being QB1. This quarterback room is better. There's no doubt about it. And if you're watching this practice today, if you had the opportunity to get out there, you actually walk away feeling like there's some promise. There's some hope with this offense. There's some optimism. They were actually moving the football. They actually looked good. They looked like a first-team offense at the NFL level. So today's practice for the offense, for those guys, Brissett, offensive line, You give them a lot of credit. They had a really good practice. You walk away feeling pretty good about where they are before they head into tomorrow's padded practice. That's what's to be expected. Let's talk about the quarterback, though, Jacoby Brissett. Again, he was damn good today. Damn good. He had 3 or 4 throws that were fantastic. And he had a seam route to Pop Douglas, which was a great throw. He had a post to Pop Douglas, which was a very good throw. He threw a corner route to KJ Osborne. Osborne made a nice catch jumping up. And, Brissett kind of put it on the back shoulder and high. It was in the corner of the end zone. And Osborne was able to leap up, adjust his body, and come down with it. So it was a really good catch by Osborne. And it was a great throw by Jacoby Brissett. So those are just 3 dimes that he threw during practice today. And overall, when you take the Monday through Friday, this was a good week for Jacoby Brissett. He kind of has entrenched himself as that quarterback 1 right now. He looks like a legitimate quarterback. I've been one of the people that have been screaming from the mountaintops that not to completely write Jacoby Brissett off. He's not as bad as some people tried to paint him to be. He's not a top 10 quarterback or 15 quarterback, but I do think Jacoby is closer to 20 than he is to 32 if you ranked the quarterbacks 1 through 32 that are going to start for NFL teams in week 1. And he has shown that this week. He has had a good week of practice. A good week of practice from Jacoby. Competent quarterback play. I'll get to Drake Maye in a minute, but first, Vitalix throws us a $20 super chat. Thank you, Vitalix, for the $20 super chat. Always appreciate it, especially on a Friday when I'm about, 90 minutes away, if not less, from going out with the wifey to enjoy a Friday night for the first time in a while. I'm wondering if Maye might be a game time type of show-up player and not as good of a practice player. Max seemed kind of opposite. Light up practice, melt under the pressure. Just a thought. Good stuff, Nick. Thank you, Vitalix, for the thought. Again, thank you for the super chat. And I do think there's some of this with Drake Maye. I'll get to Maye in a minute, but one of his better plays today was, again, we saw him kind of extend the play. He rolls out to his right. He throws the football on the move, and he just looks comfortable. And there is some of that gunslinger mentality. And right now, the structure of the practices, what they're working on with Maye, I do think impacts him. And it takes away some of his raw, natural talent that we saw at North Carolina. That's why I'm very, very interested to see how Drake Maye looks once they start playing preseason games. What's he look like in 6 days against Carolina? I want to see some of that element. A couple of times today, a throw is not there. He tucks and he scrambles. That's one of those plays, right? When you're watching a padded practice, he tucks and he runs. You go, okay, he tucked and he ran. Big deal. Whoopee. But if that's a game, if that is against Carolina in 6 days, and he tucks and runs and picks up 20, 25 yards, now you have a completely different opinion of that play and of that decision. So there is some of that. And Maye told the media today that, hey, look, I don't feel like I have aired it out yet. He has not really chucked the football down the field like he's capable of doing. And he said he feels like that's going to be coming soon. So it is conservative. It is structured. And he's trying to live within that structure because he's trying to progress at a level that he feels comfortable and the team feels comfortable. But when you get out there on the field and it's an actual game, I do think we'll see some of that. Now, of course, there's also risk with that. The more gunslingy you get, so to speak, the more risk gets brought onto the football field. But I do think you have a great thought there, Vitalix, that when the handcuffs come off and it's not as structured and it's not, okay, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do that. And he kind of just plays with that freedom. Would not be surprised whatsoever if some of those flash plays that we've seen from Drake Maye throughout this camp actually kind of grow with the, they increase with the amount of preseason games he goes out there and he plays without that handcuffed feel. Another super chat. Backyard Cyclist jumps in with a $20 super chat. Nick, finally got you live. Thank you. Beer's on me tonight, brother. I appreciate you. Enjoy your night. Maye will show his talent with the ones. Cheers. Thank you, Backyard. I appreciate the super chat. Means an awful lot to me. You, Vitalix, coming in on a Friday. Glad you were able to catch one of our live shows. Maybe you'll catch some more live shows as we move forward if we keep this a little bit later in the day, which is something, as you know, as a Patreon member, we've kind of discussed. So thinking about it. But thank you. I appreciate you. And I certainly will buy at least one, if not many, beers tonight and use some of that money that you just sent to me. Thanks. All right, let's get to Drake Maye. I thought, well, before we do that, don't forget to give us that thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Also, rate and review Spotify, Apple Pods. Got to throw that out there. Drive the traffic. Try to beat that algorithm. I get it. Gets a little fatiguing after a while, but you got to do what you got to do. So Drake Maye, I thought at the beginning of the day, he wasn't very good. I thought he got off to a slow start. There were, some issues that you saw early on the first, 4 or 5 snaps that he took during this practice. He had a double pump where he kind of hesitated on a play. Looked like he might have had a guy open, and he double pumped it. He eventually got it to somebody, but, there was that indecisiveness that you saw from him. So that was on an early snap. He also threw a pass that should have been picked. It was one of those no passes, right? You could see it develop. I'm up at like the red level, and I'm up on the perch with Evan Lazar and some others, Mike DeSault and some other people up above the practice field to see. I like to be above the field so I can scan it. A lot of other media people, pretty much 98% of the media, they're down on the field. I don't like that. I'm not a tall guy, so I feel like I don't see everything. So I'm up above with Evan and some others, and you're kind of scanning the whole field. And, where Drake threw it, he threw it to his right. I think it was, trying to remember who he was throwing it to. I can't remember who he was throwing it to, but he throws it towards his right. Now, I am, towards his right. So he's throwing it right at me. And you could see the defensive back, ZZ Hearn, you could see him read this, and he pretty much jumped the route, and it could have been a pick. So it was a bit of a dicey start for Maye early on. But then as the practice went on, he played better. He found LaMichael Petway. By the way, name to remember. I'm not telling you that LaMichael Petway is going to catch 50 passes this year, but to me, he is the clear-cut tight end 3 right now. Jaheim Bell, he has not been healthy. He hasn't been out there much at all, so he hasn't done really anything. Mitchell Wilcox has had some issues with drops. Petway right now, to me, is easily tight end 3 on this team, and he's made a couple of plays here and there. He's made a couple of catches. You go back to either it was Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday. He made a one-handed catch heading out of bounds. It was a really nice play. So Drake Maye got going a little bit. He found Petway for a touchdown. He found Kayshon Boutte for a touchdown. He had Javon Baker at the back of the end zone. He was a little bit late with the throw. The throw was a little bit high, and Baker couldn't catch it and come down with both feet in bounds. He only got 1 foot in bounds. It was so close to being a touchdown throw from Maye to Baker. And if they had to do it all over again, I think they connect, and Maye does get the touchdown, and Baker does get both feet down. So he started to play better, and I thought Drake Maye's final 11 on 11 was really crisp. The 11 on 11 was really crisp from Drake Maye. He was in control. Now, the one thing I will say, again, and Maye said this to the media after practice, he's not airing it out. A lot of his completions are 10 yards and in, right? But it looks like he's making the right decisions for the most part. He's completing these passes. He's moving the ball down the field. And I thought as the practice went on, he got better. And that final 11 on 11, he looked crisp. So if you're looking at Drake Maye's week, Monday and Tuesday were not good, right? They had the off day on Wednesday. He comes back yesterday. He had a better day yesterday. Now, no pads. So I tweeted this out this morning. I was very interested to see how Maye would perform today. How would he bounce back in pads? And he played pretty well today. So I think you walk away from this week in totality. And, of course, they have a practice tomorrow as well in the pads. But Monday through Friday, you walk away from this week and you feel, I think, pretty good about Drake Maye because he showed that he could face adversity. He started off struggling, then got back on the rails a little bit the last couple of practices. and he walks off the field with some confidence with a good 11 on 11 to finish his practice. So the big picture, which I always try to take, we can talk about day to day, and we do, but the big picture of this week for me is that Maye, at the end of it, he kind of fought through. He fought through the muck. He fought through the early struggles. And the last two practices, yesterday and today, they were pretty good practices for him. So there was that bounce back. All right, I'll have more thoughts on Drake Maye because he did have a comment. He did have a comment today to the media that I think really puts things in perspective and why it's tough to always take, a practice and say, oh, well, that guy was awful that day. He was great that day, because we don't know what the team is working on. I'll get to that in a minute. But first, my sister, not really my sister, but my sister, Amy, her sister, real sister, sends a $20 super chat, $19.99. This is from Julie. She said, your first round is on me. Thank you, Julie. And Amy, get in your car, start heading over, honey, because tonight's going to be the real deal. So text my wifey, Kelly. Text Kelly, and let's coordinate some plans. I know Kelly sent the text, but let's coordinate. And Julie, thank you for the $20 super chat. And the next time I see you, Julie, I'm buying you a drink now. Charlie jumps in. He's got a $9.99 super chat. No micro brews with my money! ! Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate you for the super chat. You guys are great on a Friday, making me smile and absolutely helping my Friday night. I got to throw this out there from the 757. Michael Shaw, love the 757. That's Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. Love that area. What's going on, Michael? Glad you could swing by and say hello. All right, so Maye with the media again. He said one more thing today that I think is vital, and we should not overlook this. Maye told the media after practice, and I headed out. I was starving. It was 150 degrees. Practice was over. I ran out of Gillette like my ass was on fire. I was out that place. I was in the car getting ready to get home. It was a long practice. Mayo had these guys out there for 2+ hours. It was a long practice today in that heat. And so I left. I said, I'll see what the guys have to say after practice on Twitter and some other places. So Maye did tell the media today after practice that Monday's practice, the script that he ran, it was pretty much all third and long plays. So that should put things into perspective, because what that means is what we were watching on Monday, it wasn't just, hey, we're going to run the offense, just do what you do, Drake. It was third and long. That was the script. So now you're looking for, 15 yards, 20 yards. You're looking for third and long plays, which are obviously, I don't even need to say it, but I'll say it, they're much more difficult to complete at the NFL level. So they were looking to try to convert third and long. And those play calls that Drake was running, he was running a lot of third and long play calls to try to get those first downs. So that will impact you. So, I think it was on Monday, he was 3 for 11, something like that at some point. So, when you're completing 3 out of 10, 3 out of 11, people are going to see the numbers are going to kind of freak out. But the context is needed. And the context of Monday's brutal practice for Drake was that they were scripting things out, and it was third and long, which was putting him and the offense behind the 8 ball, not to mention the offensive line and the people that were playing alongside him are not the most talented guys on this team, as we know. So Drake's out there with like the 2s and the 3s, and he's running off of a third and long script. Rookie season, new offense, new scheme, looking at footwork. So just kind of absorb that and appreciate it, that it wasn't just he's going out there doing whatever the hell he wants to do. All right, let's get to the guy who dominated practice. You know who dominated practice? And I mean dominated. Pop freaking Douglas dominated this practice. Clearly, when you watch this team, this offense, this wide receiver group is completely different when Pop is on the field. It's amazing to watch. And I know we all appreciate him, and we know he's good, and we have some pretty high expectations, relatively speaking, for Pop Douglas in year 2. But when you watch this offense without Pop, and then you throw him onto the field, it's like watching a night and day offense. You couldn't be any more different. Pop changes the dynamic of this offense. He was open constantly today. He was a machine. He is clearly the best wide receiver on this football team. And he is clearly a game changer for these quarterbacks because he just gets open, man. And yes, he had the red jersey on, so there's the lack of physicality, but you cannot duplicate that young man's quickness, his agility, how he gets in and out of routes. He is a nightmare for cornerbacks. And if you're watching this practice, I'm sure the fans that were there today, and by the way, God bless those fans that were there today. It's like 100 degrees. They're in the sun. I mean, those are the diehards, man. And God bless them. Hopefully nobody got heat stroke today. It was brutal out there. But those fans watching this practice, I guarantee you tonight they're going to be very excited about what they saw from Pop Douglas today. Pop was terrific. He was absolutely freaking terrific. Best skill position player on the field. Wasn't close. Terrific. Offensive line. Pretty good. Pretty good. I know there have been some people that, have been concerned about the offensive line. I disagree with those people. From what I've seen this week, I've seen an offensive line that's improving. I talked about it earlier in the week, right? I talked about it on Monday when these guys had the pads on. They were really good one-on-ones. Those pass rush one-on-one drills, the offensive line dominated. And as this week has gone on, I feel better about this offensive line right now than I did before they started camp. And it reminds me of, going back to the offseason when the slogan was just get better for this football team. I feel the same way about the O-line. Just get better up front. And from where I was 2 weeks ago to where I am right now on August 2nd, 2024, I feel better about this offensive line. I'm not telling you they're great just yet. I'm not going to go crazy, but I feel better. Sidy So. Let me tell you about Sidy So. He's been really good at left guard. These one-on-one drills, the only guy on this offensive line that's been better than Sidy So is the guy that should be better than Sidy So, and that's the dude you gave the monstrous extension to, Mike Onwenu. I'll get to him in a second. But Sidy So, in pass protection, he's been good. I mean, he's been standing dudes up during these one-on-one drills. And during the 11-on-11s, he is holding his water big time at left guard. Sidy So has been a pleasant surprise for me. And I'm somebody who, thought he'd be at least decent this year because I thought he finished last year, his rookie season, pretty damn good. But he's been even better than I thought. He's been better than I anticipated. And I don't know what Scott Peters is telling this guy, but he's telling him all the good stuff because Sidy So he has been really good this week. And he finished strong today. So Sidy So at left guard. Mike Onwenu. I mean, he is to the offensive line what Pop is to the wide receiver room. Like as much as Pop dominated the cornerbacks and just carried the pass offense at certain times today, same thing with Onwenu on the offensive line. This guy's been kicking dudes out the club. Like every practice, just kicking dudes out the club, erasing them. One-on-ones, like all of these pass rushers. Uche, Zimenez, Keon White, all of these guys, they tried to get the better of Onwenu. And it's like you're watching whoever's trying to rush Onwenu. It's like watching an old school cartoon and the cartoon character just runs across the television screen and slams into a brick wall. And Onwenu is that brick wall. Mike Onwenu has been a monster this week. They put the pads on, and he has been an absolute monster. So you start to look at this, and the interior offensive line. Now, I do want to add the context. Let's not forget, the context is the pass rush, which I'll get to a little bit later. It's lacking talent, right? It's lacking talent with Matthew Judon taking limited snaps and Barmore not being out there. So the interior offensive line, they're not having to deal with a very deep interior defensive line, a dangerous pass rush, all that stuff for the most part, right? But what I can tell you is from what we've seen, because you don't know how much of it is the lack of a pass rush from the Patriots or how much it is how really good this offensive line is playing at certain times. But I will say this, the way that they've looked on the interior, Sidy has been so good. David Andrews is David Andrews. And Onwenu has been a monster. Left guard, center, right guard. Your interior offensive line right now has looked really good. Your interior offensive line has looked really good at practice. So that means you got at least 3 out of the 5. I'll get to the tackles in a minute. But my goodness, Terry with a $100 super chat. I need to get a new mixer. It's a technological term, engineering term. I apologize. It's something I could play sound. I need like a new mixer that allows me to play sound. I talked to Kelly about it last night. Some of these things are very expensive. I've been going back and forth, but because if I could play sound right now, it'd be round of applause, fireworks, something. Terry with the $100 super chat. That's the biggest super chat I've ever got doing this podcast. I'm just knocked over. I will be traveling for work, so missing the podcast in our first preseason game. Oh, that's unfortunate. You can always catch up on the pods. See y'all soon. Let's go, New England Patriots. Terry, you are fantastic. Unbelievable. I appreciate you. That is just, I can't believe that you enjoy the show so much that you just gave me $100 of your hard-earned money. So I just can't say enough. Thank you. Safe travels. I'm sure we'll be talking soon, whether it's on the Patreon or here. But my goodness, again, if I could hit some kind of sounder, standing ovation, fireworks, something for that super chat. Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. And Evelyn jumps in and says, looks like I'll be joining you for drinks with all those super chats. Where are my entertainers? Yo, Teresa, you hiring? I have a BA and a high IQ. Oh, man. All right, let's get to the tackles. And Amstel reminds us all, Amstel 54, hit that like button. Yes, the more thumbs up, the more good it does. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, and review. Offensive tackles. So there has been a change the last couple of weeks. The last couple of practices. I had said, and this is why I always had the caveat of we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens as of right now. So we had the Caden Wallace at left tackle, Chukwuekwuemeka for right tackle, right? That was Friday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So Friday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those 4 practices, you had Wallace left tackle and you had Okorafor right tackle. Then yesterday, that changed. Vidarian Lowe was left tackle. Okorafor was right tackle. Wallace got moved to the second offensive line at left tackle. That was the same case today. So it was the case yesterday. It was the same case today. Vidarian Lowe at the left, Okorafor at the right. Later on in practice, Okorafor, he got replaced by Calvin Anderson. Anderson went down, looked like a foot issue. He went down early in practice, got it looked at. Trainers looked at him. He came back out onto the field later on, and he actually replaced Okorafor. Now, I don't know if he replaced Okorafor because he had missed some snaps earlier in the practice due to going down. That could be the case. I'm just telling you what happened in practice. I don't know what the reasoning was, but it could easily be Anderson went down with the foot ankle issue, and because he missed snaps, the Patriots wanted him to get back out onto the field, get his foot moving, get some snaps, so he had a full practice, and Okorafor had all the snaps up to that point on the first unit, so he took a back seat for some of those snaps. That could have been the case, but we'll see what happens. That was the tackle shift. Caden Wallace, I told you earlier in the week, he had a good start to the week, a little bit up and down the last couple of days. He's a rookie, but it's not like he's been an utter disaster. He got beat in the pass rush drill pretty badly. I think it was Uche who beat him. But, it's not like, oh, my God, you got to get him out of there. A couple of times he shows that he's a rookie, but he's on the second unit, left tackle. We'll see if they go back to him on the top offensive line or if they're going to stick with Lowe and a core four. I'm not going to predict anything with this O-line. No idea. All right, some other notes here. Austin Hooper. Yes, Austin Hooper. Tight end number 2. Hooper made some plays. And he's made some plays the last week and a half. And he had 3 or 4 catches today. He's showing up. He looks good. And a couple of the catches were for some pretty good yardage, 15, 20 yards. So Austin Hooper is showing up in practice. And I would say Hunter Henry and Hooper, you feel pretty decent about walking into the season as your 1 and 2 at tight end if they stay healthy. And this goes back to what I said during the offseason. People thought I was crazy. I said the quarterback room was better. Really? It's better? Yes, it's better. We're seeing that play out. And I said the tight end room was better. Really? It's better? Yes, it's better. And that has played out. And you see Hunter Henry make a play or two. He's not popping as much as, an Austin Hooper, but you also have, Hooper running certain routes and the connection between he and Brissett. And of course, Hooper has the history with Alex Van Pelt. So I'm not surprised that Hooper's off to a good start in pads. But that's all good news for the Patriots, right? I mean, you've got Hunter Henry, who's kind of old steady. You've got Hooper, who's had a pretty good camp so far. And as I mentioned earlier, LaMichael Petway's had a pretty good camp. So you're 1, 2, 3 in the tight end room. Each guy has shown up. Each guy has made some plays, which is what you want to see. All right, let's get to the defense. Matthew Judon. Judon was out there stretching. He did some of the defensive end drills, right? The pads and the sled and all that stuff. He was doing some of that on the backfield. He did not do any one-on-ones that I saw. When it was one-on-ones, pass rush drills, he was not involved in that. He was on a knee. He was sitting off to the side, but close enough to kind of shout some things to some guys when he's out there. I'm guessing giving some tips to the younger guys, whatever he's doing. So Judon was out there, did not take any reps with the one-on-ones with that pass rush drill. He was down on a knee, helmet off. And then he was in and out during 11-on-11. So he was out there for some snaps, 11-on-11s. I would not say he was out there a ton during the 11-on-11s or the 7-on-7s, but he was out there. He participated. And you could probably chalk it up to a full participant, if not like a 3/4 to 80% participant. So that's a change from last year. That's a change from last year because Judon did not do that last year during his hold-in. He was not out there. He was not participating in any way. Since what happened earlier in the week, it seems like whatever has been said to Judon, they've been able to work some things out, and he's out there. Does it mean a contract is going to happen, a new contract? Does it mean that they're bridging the gap a little bit? I have no idea. All I could tell you is he was out there. He was participating, which is different from last year, and I give credit to Gerard Mayo, and I give credit to Elliott Wolf and whoever else played a role in this because they've got Judon out there on the practice field. Things were getting pretty ugly, but they've got him out there on the practice field, and it's kind of half the battle, right? So he didn't do that last year. He's doing it this year. Good job by Mayo and that coaching staff to get Judon back onto the field. But with Judon being limited, not playing a ton of snaps, and you don't have Christian Barmore, I am starting to get a little bit concerned about this pass rush. Because without Judon, if he's not going to be out there, or if he's going to play limited snaps, with no Barmore, you see the impact. So I am starting to get a little bit concerned about the pass rush. Joshua Uche, I haven't seen him do much. Maybe I missed something, but I have not seen him do much during these 11-on-11s. He hasn't been very disruptive. Keon White had somewhat of a quiet day today. White's fascinating because you talk to some people and they say he's dominating this camp. You talk to other people and they say he's been okay. He had a somewhat quiet day today, but they're going to have to get Keon White or Uche. They're going to have to get those guys going consistently for me to feel better about this pass rush. So that is something to keep an eye on. Before I continue, I'll talk about Jabril Peppers in a minute. Casey Reed jumps in. Been a while for a fellow Rhodey alum. Congrats on the success. Thank you, Katie. $10 super chat. Casey, not Katie. I appreciate you, Casey, for sending that $10 super chat. You guys have been great. You guys have been great with the super chats today. Always wonder on a Friday. You never know. People getting out of the office early. People kind of going to do their thing. But thank you, Casey. I appreciate you. It's been a while. It has been a while. Swing on by a little bit more often. Just stick together with these Rhodey Rams, baby. All right, so Jabril Peppers. He was back. He was back. He was in pads. He had the regular jersey on, so he didn't have any kind of non-contact jersey. I didn't see him take snaps. I could have missed a few snaps. I did not see him out there. Now, granted, I was paying more attention to the offensive line and quarterback play than I was to, check and write down who was playing safety every snap, 11 on 11. I did not see him out there, though. So, he was on the field. He had pads on, had his helmet, had the regular jersey on. Didn't see him a ton, if at all, actually taking snaps defensively during 11 on 11s. Some bad news, Marcus Jones was not out there. Don't know if it was an injury. Don't know if it was a personal situation. But Marcus Jones has had a very good camp, and he wasn't out there today, which is frustrating because I think all of us believe that Marcus Jones has natural talent and ability and could really help this defense. But we know what's been going on. He just has not been able to stay on the field. And, hopefully he's back tomorrow. Hopefully, if not back tomorrow, he's back early next week. And it's just a blip on the radar, but it's on the radar because he wasn't out there today. And he's been really good in camp. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Marcus can get out there sooner rather than later because it will be a big-time bummer if an injury gets in the way again and all of a sudden, he's got to take weeks off or he doesn't make the team or something happens there. So let's hope that Marcus Jones is back on the field rather quickly. Jonathan Jones playing a lot of snaps at safety today. He played a number of snaps at safety. Let's not forget, right? Marcus Jones was not out there. Peppers did not take snaps from what I saw. Marte Mapu is still hurt, so he's not out there. Mapu and Marcus Jones are two guys that just have that injury bug. Both of them out of practice today, so they were thin at safety, which goes back to, how I started this podcast a while ago with A.J. Thomas, the safety signing, a depth signing. It's because you got Marcus Jones banged up. You got Marte Mapu banged up. Well, maybe Marcus is banged up. We don't know the situation, but Jones isn't out there. Mapu is definitely banged up. And you've got Jabril Peppers, who's a little dinged. Those are three guys that could play safety. So now it starts to be a numbers game. So that's why you bring in, with the move today, you bring in Thomas. But Jonathan Jones was back playing safety a decent amount today. He got a number of snaps at safety. Jalen Hawkins also out there at safety today. So it was a lot of Hawkins and Jonathan Jones. Duggar was out there, but Duggar was more kind of playing that hybrid linebacker role, which I like. He was, Duggar was a little bit more in the box than he was on the back end. So that's how it aligned. But we got to keep an eye on safety depth. We got to see if Marcus can come back and will Mapu ever get on the damn field. But Jonathan Jones played a decent amount of safety today. Cornerbacks had a rough day. Outside of Gonzalez. Gonzalez was fine, but the other cornerbacks had a bit of a rough day. Alex Austin has not been great this week. We'll see if the Patriots react. Stephon Gilmore is out there. He's still a free agent. We'll see if Elliott Wolf jumps on the bat phone and calls Gilmore after this week, or if they see what they have next week and they continue to be patient with it. But the cornerbacks had a pretty tough day today. But it makes sense when you think about it. The top three cornerbacks for the Pats so far through camp, it's been Christian Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones, and Marcus Jones, right? So you've got Marcus Jones, Jonathan Jones, two of your top three corners. One of them is not on the field today in Marcus. The other one is playing a lot at safety. So that left these other corners, Marco Wilson and, Alex Austin, to be out there, especially Wilson. So, you're looking at your, fourth and fifth corners and sixth corners. So we have to keep the context in mind. But you also have to realize that, hey, man, if Marcus Jones can't stay on the field, that's an issue. You're going to have to play your deep corners, right? You're going to have to play your fourth, fifth, sixth corner if Marcus can't stay on the field. So Marcus was not on the field. Jonathan was at safety, which left your other corners out there, the guys that are a little bit down the roster, and they didn't have a very good day. As I said earlier in the podcast, today was a good day for the offense, especially the first team offense, especially for Jacoby Brissett. And they got diced a little bit. One other thing I want to bring up. I'm not going to sound any kind of alarm, but you might hate me for saying this. I might jinx the young man. If I jinx him, I jinx him. But Chad Ryland's making kicks, everybody. Whoa, wait a minute, everybody. Chad Ryland is making kicks. Now, yes, it's practice. Not a lot of noise going on. But Ryland is making kicks. He was 5 for 5 today. Chad Ryland was 5 for 5 today. And Mike Reese, he tweeted out, he's keeping track. When we talk about competitive reps out there on the field, Ryland so far in full team drills, Ryland is 17 of 18 in camp. Now, he could miss his next 10. Subject to change, right? To be determined. I'm just telling you what's happening as of August 2nd, 2024. Your kicker, 4th-round kicker, traded up to pick him last year, who was a disaster in 23, he's actually making kicks. 5 of 5 today, 17 of 18 in full team drills so far in camp. Is Chad Ryland back from the dead? Maybe I'll open up my Sports Hub Sunday show. I'm on 98.5 Sunday afternoon, 2 to 5. Maybe I'll open up my show with that beauty. 2 o'clock. Chad Ryland, is he back from the dead? 617-779-0985. But Chad Ryland's making kicks. Joey Sly hasn't been bad either. But Ryland's making kicks, man. 17 of 18. So I don't know if he's got some, he's got some kind of good juju going on. I don't know if he's got like a rabbit's ear in his back pocket or whatever the hell he's doing. But he's got to keep doing it because he's actually making kicks. He still looks like he's like 16 years old out there. But he's making kicks. I don't care if he looks like he's 10. If he makes a kick, he makes a kick. So that's pretty much your as thorough as you can get a camp report from today's practice. I'm not going to go out there tomorrow. I plan on going pretty hard tonight, having a good night with the wife and some friends. So I do not think I'll be out there tomorrow to catch the padded practice, but I will be on 98.5 Sunday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. solo doing headlines. You can check me out there. I'll be back here on Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. We'll talk about what's happening and get ready for the first preseason game. It's on August 8th, so we're 6 days away from the Carolina Panthers preseason game. So next week should be a fun one. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Have a great time. Do what you do what you enjoy. You get one life, so rock it out this weekend. Don't forget before you leave to like, comment, subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you. I appreciate every single one of you in the super chats. I mean, incredible super chat day today. Can't say enough about that. This has been the Nick Cattle Show.